Hi there, and finally, welcome to the actual last lesson of my course. Because I said in the previous lesson that was the last lesson, but I got inspired. I got a new idea that I wanted to share. I got this idea that I needed to say to you as a last lesson because I didn't want to just send you off without a few exercises that you can do, because the information side of this course and of school and everything else that you learn is really important, but the practical side, it is as important, but it's also more important because I have recently learned from Jim Quick, the man who is crazy with remembering stuff. Like, he can remember a sequence of numbers for or how many numbers was it? I don't know. I saw a talk of him where he asked the audience, each individual to say a number, or a few individuals, and it was like a sequence of maybe 20 or 25 numbers, and he recited all of them and then backwards because he knows how the brain works, he knows how memory works. But he said that 80% of what you learn now will be forgotten in 2 days. So it is only logical that when you learn something, especially about adopting a new mindset, that it leaves you if you do not practice it. So that's why practice and exercises are really important. This last kind of bonus lesson is called How to Find Your Passion plus some exercises. Because I know that the hardest thing seems to be to find your passion and what you're passionate about. Because we all kind of know what we want as a side effect. When I first started this journey, I knew that I wanted to be self-employed. I knew that I didn't want a boss above me. I knew that I wanted to be in charge of my own schedule, that I wouldn't have to work from 9 to 6. But I didn't quite know what I would do in order to achieve all of those goals. So it is kind of hard to find what you're passionate about and to kind of let yourself be passionate about something, because it is one thing to actually find your passion, but it's you begin with allowing yourself to become passionate about something and to actually dream about it, to actually as I said, allow yourself. As in my You Are Good Enough lesson, I'm really putting emphasis on allowing yourself to dream, allowing yourself to find something that you love and to actually pursue it, because you are good enough. But back to this topic. So I put on my own website a quote that I have thought of, which says, "A free, autonomous, and magical life." How did I find my passion? I kind of realized this when I already found my passion, making this course, making a website, helping people finding their intuitive selves. But how did I care about doing that? How did I found out that I wanted to do that? Well, I kind of looked back at my past. This seems counterintuitive because I have made points of being like, do not look at the past, do not look at the future, they're fake, look at the present. The only actual moment that is always real is now, because when you think about tomorrow, it never comes. When you think about yesterday, it has never been. You're always in this moment, this is the only moment you have. But this can be quite helpful in order to know what your dislikes are. I knew from my past or my experience with depression and anxiety that I hated it, and I still hate it, when people put words in my mouth, when people take away my freedom, when people say what I have to do. Freedom. I like freedom. That's one thing I've always known, that I like freedom. I've always known that I liked autonomy. I wanted to be in charge of my own life, but I never felt in charge of my own life. And I love magic. I love a exciting, adventurous life with a lot of things happening. Because my life is kind of seemingly boring now, I want a magical life. I love spirituality. I love crystals. I love tarot cards. Everything that has to do with the universe. I'm always looking things up about it. Those are the three main things that I've kind of categorized for myself. Okay, well, I want that, and I want that. But how did I realize that? I looked back at my past. I looked at the things that made me emotionally react the most. One thing being when people took away my freedom, or I thought they took away my freedom. The second thing being when people said what I had to do, or when they put words into my mouth, when they made me out to be something that I wasn't. And the next thing was when my life is boring, there's nothing happening, I don't like that. And then I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I love freedom, I love autonomy, and I love magic. And those things are entirely unique and personal to you. But out of that, when I knew that, I kind of got a direction of where I wanted to go. We all know what our strengths and our weaknesses are. I know that I'm good at editing. I know that I love making videos. I know that I'm a good speaker verbally. I like to write. We all kind of develop our own skills and we know what we're good at. So that's entirely up to you to figure out what that is. I do not have all of the answers for you. When you find out what you emotionally react to the most, so the things that you kind of hate, look at what the flip side is of that, or the other side of that. Look at what the opposite of the things that you hate is, and you will find out what you want. Abraham Hicks beautifully said that in order to know what you want, you have to know what you don't want. And this is a beautiful example of that. So look at the things that you hate. So look at the things that you hate / emotionally react to the most. Those are the things that hold the answer for you for what you like the most, so for what you want to create in your life. And no, that is not in itself an idea, but as I said in my lesson, Desire, Pants on Fire, you do not need an idea first, you need a desire first, a desire to create something. So don't focus on the ideas will come. Like, don't worry. I've had some ideas on the toilet, okay? Or in the shower, when I was feeling good, when I was not looking for any ideas. And those are the ideas that last. Don't go looking for ideas. It's like looking for a lover, you know? When you chase someone or you chase money, it runs away faster. It does not work like that. You attract things in your life. So don't go looking for the ideas. Go look for the things that you want the most. Focus on that. And become positive. Because this is my next point. This is the second exercise that I want to discuss with you. This exercise is kind of a metaphor. It's an exercise of letting go. We all know that you have to let go in order to get something. And it's also the hardest part that you can do, because it basically means, and it's basically saying that you have to trust in yourself. You have to trust in the universe. You know, trust in the universe is trust in self. I made a whole lesson about it. You have to let go of the anxiety, of the pressure, of anything. It is like releasing all of this security that you think you have to hold on to, but actually leaning or latching onto security, it's making it run away. Just like what I said in my when you run away, when you run after a lover or you run after money, it runs away from you faster. And I want to explain this to you with an example that I have actually experienced in my past. Now, I don't know how old I precisely was, but it was maybe a few years ago. I was sitting in my room. I was meditating. It was at night. I had some candles lit and I had these Thomas Edison light bulbs hanging over my at the wall. This was one of the rare times where a meditation felt so incredibly powerful and so good. Like I was saying these positive affirmations, I was present, I was clearing my whole mind, and I actually felt and saw a lot of energy flying into the room. You can believe this, you cannot. It won't matter if you do believe this, but it won't matter for the exercise. Excuse me. It won't matter for the exercise if you believe this or you don't. Me saying I saw energy. So I had these lights, right, hanging up the wall. So, as I said, I was really positive. I was really loving. I said things like, I love everything about this universe. I feel happy. I feel at the right place at the right time. There's nothing wrong with anything. Everything is perfect. I love it all. I love everything. I put my hand up instinctively to the lights. The lights were on a little bit and they started flickering. And I was amazed. I was in awe, but I didn't interrupt it. I was just still feeling this feeling like, oh my God, it's right. It makes sense. I love everything. I love everyone. And then when I actually got excited, it stopped. And that's because I became aware of what was happening and I was putting expectations in it again. I wanted it to happen again. And that to me is like the same as you wanting to manifest something, but it's not manifesting because you're constantly focused on the absence of it instead of the presence of it. So you're focused on the absence, so you're creating more of the absence. Instead, when you just focus on the presence of it, or you accept things as they are, because as Abraham Hicks again says, you cannot get from a place of dissatisfaction to a place of satisfaction. You just cannot get there from here. You have to actually be satisfied in order for the satisfaction to happen. Just like Dr. Joe Dispenza says, you have to feel whole for the healing to appear. You have to feel wholeness before the healing. It is not the healing happens and you feel wholeness. You feel wholeness and the healing will appear. So what did I do in that moment? I first of all became really present. I had positive momentum, really powerful positive momentum, because probably my brain waves were going crazy in a good way, and I was really in a moment where I was just like, I just felt present and I felt aligned with everything. Then I completely let go. I didn't even know what I was doing, and I instinctively put my hand up and the light started flickering. I let go, positive momentum, and magic happened, truly, or what could be seen as magic. This can also happen when, as I said, when you want to manifest something, it's important to let go. It's important to let the universe take care of it. It's important to have trust in everything. Those are kind of the key things. So letting go means positive thought, momentum, trust, either living in the end result, which will acquire more trust and more confidence than just acceptance of where you are now. Accepting where you are now and having positive thought momentum is one of the most important things, one of the hardest things, because positive thought momentum requires a full awareness of the ego, which is also what my next point is going to be about. Okay, so I apologize for the lack of continuity and my hair is different because my camera died. So, welcome to part 2, I guess, or to the second part of this video. So, the next exercise, which is really important, has to do with the ego. The ego was one of the main topics of discussion of this course because the ego is the direct opposite of your true self. And it's also an opposite of the intuition. Actually, I believe doubt is the direct opposite of the intuition. But the ego is what stands in the way of the intuition. The ego is what you experience on this earth. Now, I don't know where the ego comes from. I don't know if it's a part of this earth. I don't know if it's a part of being a physical being. Maybe it's even a part of the matrix that we live in or that we have influence over. Again, if you don't believe that, that is completely up to you. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. It will not influence any outcomes of your life or any unwanted or wanted outcomes. It doesn't matter what you believe. Know that the ego is here. Okay, so the exercise that I have put in place for you. Because I just thought of this today. Because when you go about your life, and I've said this in, I think, the last lesson, the course summary, and even the Desire Pencil Fire, when you go about your life, you forget things. When you want to change your mindset, you have to keep practicing, you have to keep realizing it in order to actually realize it. If you learn something and you don't use it, that information is useless. As I said in the beginning of this lesson, you forget 80% what you have learned within 2 days. So that means that you will fall back into the same patterns, same routines. That's also an Eminem lyric. But yes, we fall back into negative patterns. I have experienced quite a lot in my life that I have too fell back into negative thought patterns and thus into negative behavioral patterns. Your thoughts influence your behaviors because you become what you think about. So it's only natural when you learn something and you don't practice it, you don't repeat it, you will forget it and you will just become unconscious and go on autopilot again. Being unconscious means just fully identification with the ego and being on autopilot, just kind of just going through life without actually behaving out of a conscious mind. That is how most people operate. And by the time you're 35, this is what Dr. Joe Dispenza says, you operate out of an unconscious mind 95% of the time, because your beliefs and your behaviors and the habits that you have learned are like stuck. So it's more difficult for people of an older age to change their mindset. That's why younger people are always seen as being like, oh, we're so ambitious and we want to change the world. That's just because we have less momentum going the negative direction. The exercise that I want to give to you is when you try to become silent and you have identified your chatter, your ego is going to reel you back into negative, destructive thought patterns. It is going to do that, and it is going to be subtle. Sometimes you think it's you who is thinking, or it's you who is feeling great, or it is kind of a neutral thought and it's all unique to you. It is all very personal, especially tailored to each and every individual person, but it is actually the ego. What I have done today all day, because I too fall back into same patterns, same routines, negative patterns, negative routines, I became so conscious today that I repeatedly said to myself, ego, all day. That's ego. That's ego. That's ego. That's ego. This is what I mean. Anything that takes you away from the present moment is ego. What do I want you to say to yourself when that happens? I want you to say to yourself, that's ego. In your language. In my language, it's that's ego. Ego. It's ego. That's ego. This is ego. And when you do that, you disrupt the thought that happens because it takes you away from the present moment. You disrupt it so it cannot go any further. Then you practice becoming present again. This you can do through inner body awareness. So not per se, as I said in a previous lesson, you feel your hands, you feel the aliveness within your hands, you feel the aliveness within your feet. And some people can do it. I can do it right now. I can just feel, whilst I'm talking, I can feel my body. You do that, so you take your focus away from the thoughts. You say that's ego, inner body awareness, and you're present again. This you need to do every single moment of every single day. Know that when you become conscious, the negative things that happen in your mind, because it's not you who's happening, it's the ego that is thinking. Thoughts happen to you, as Eckhart Tolle said. You do not think the thoughts happen to you. The things that happen in your mind, they will immediately fall away. But you have to keep practicing, because as I said, the ego is going to be very subtle. When you become aware of everything that you think about, the negative things will feel more negative than they have ever felt before. Because you're aware now. You're aware of feeling good. You know how to feel good. You are more aware of feeling good. So things will become more intense. That's why you can also feel the intuition more. You become more sensitive. You become more hyper aware. Life becomes more beautiful. But also when you do have these negative thought patterns that are happening in your mind, life can feel more awful as well. As I said, we have a law of polarity in which when a person can feel great pain, they can also feel great love. But you've experienced its polarity. So that's why people who go through very traumatic experiences, they sometimes come out as beautifully enlightened spiritual people because they have felt that great deep pain. They have experienced all of these very important life lessons, and that was all made possible because of the deep pain. So when you become happier and you become more, the moments become more profound and deep, also be prepared of feeling a lot of sadness, of feeling a lot of detriment and hopelessness, But know that the reward for that is a life that is more profound and more intense. But keep saying to yourself, it's ego. It's ego. Because you're going to think again that that's you. And it's not. You do not have a hopelessness outlook on life. You do not. Or a hopeless outlook on life. You deserve so much more than that. Like, you deserve to feel good every single day. That's your birthright. You deserve to say in your life, I want this, so I'm going after this and I'm going to pursue it. And I'm not going to care about what anyone else thinks. You deserve that. I deserve that. We all deserve that. We all deserve to be free. And the ego and people around you, yes, they're going to make you believe that you don't. But guess what? You do, okay? So keep saying to yourself, it's ego. Every time you are being taken away out of the present moment, say to yourself, it's ego. It's such a powerful, short statement. It's ego. Done. It's ego, and go about your day and live happily ever after. If you do get confused if it's you or if it's the ego, just ask yourself this question. Am I, in this current moment, am I truly present? Do I feel truly present? Do I feel like I'm not labeling things around me? Do I feel like I'm actually experiencing everything? If the answer is no, the ego probably is running some program right now and is reeling you back in. So that's kind of how you can distinct the feeling. I can prove this to you because there is no past or future. There is no need for identification with things. There really isn't. And don't think that just because you do not identify with anything, that you will lose yourself and who you truly are. That is not possible. That's another ego thing. It needs to attach itself to things in order to have an identity. And without that, it has no identity. But also without an identity, there's only being. And only being equals to joy, happiness, and love, because that's who you truly are. Exercise 3 is a very simple one. It's keep repeating. This can be however you want it. Some people like to listen to motivational podcasts when they wake up in the morning. Some people, they like to meditate when they get up in the morning and at night. Some people, they watch YouTube videos. And some people, they read tarot cards for themselves in order to remind themselves. Other people say positive affirmations. Do a combination of those things. I have some tips for this in the Desire Pants on Fire lesson number 15 or 16. I don't remember. And I think it's important to kind of install a thing that you do every single day. I mean, I, for one, am experiencing now more than ever how important it is to realize or to keep repeating the things in order to keep realizing these things. Because, as I said, information that you learn but you do not utilize becomes useless information and useless wisdom. There is a truth in you do not need to undertake any action in order to attract all things. If you can keep being in a state of ultimately of positivity, joy, compassion, everything in this world, but no one or not a lot of people can, because we are falling victim again to the ego's patterns. So how do you learn in school? Well, you repeat things, some people, they go under hypnosis, or you have a lot of sleep hypnosis videos on YouTube free of charge. There are a lot of options out there, and research them for yourself and see what best fits for you. What best fits for me really is to do breathing exercise in the morning, a pranayama technique for instance, or the Wim Hof breathing technique I'm also a big fan of. I take a cold shower every single day, which it really helps because it's kind of like a metaphor for an external stressor that it's a cold shower, but it can also be something that makes you anxious in your real life. So if you become calm and you accept the cold shower, the aggressor and the external stressor, it just falls away. It doesn't have any influence on you. So that's a good tip. I listen to motivational speeches every single day that really, really, really helps to regain that self-worth. And just have fun, I guess. Don't forget to have fun in life. That's one more kind of trick or little exercise for you, how you can know that you are who you are and you are in the present moment, is when you find yourself having fun. Because sometimes when you actually improve yourself, it becomes toxic improvement and you kind of forget why you're doing it, and it is making you hate what you love. That's not a good sign. If that happens, if you're grinding every single day, you're working on your goals, but you are not looking forward to it anymore, take a step back and remind yourself, whoa, wait a minute, like, what am I doing here? Am I actually doing it because I like doing it, or am I just doing it because I think I have to? And if it's your passion, you will regain that passion again, and you will regain the fun in it again. But having fun is so important because, as I said, this is another thing how you can know if you're in the present moment is when you're having fun. You know, life is meant to be fun. It's not meant to be a chore, or we're not meant to do things actually, or we're here to play. You know, you do not work the piano, you play the piano, as Alan Watts said. It's really important to remember to have fun, and not just on the weekends and not just on your holidays, but every single fucking day. Okay, do not settle. Like, do not settle for anything less than what you want. Do not settle, because when you settle, your soul is gonna scream every single day when you wake up in the morning, because you will want to do more, and you know that you can do more. Those were my little exercises for this last and final video of the course. There are not going to be any more, I promise you. But I thought it was really important to incorporate these exercises and keep repeating everything that I said. Thank you so much for entrusting me with this course. I really hope that you learned something. I really hope that you regain your freedom, your autonomy, and create your magical life. And, you know, have fun and explore the website. Remember, if you have any questions at all, do not hesitate to ask me in the support area or in my email or on YouTube or Instagram. I am available for your questions and I'd be happy to answer them. And be on the lookout for more on this website, because there is going to be more on this website very, very soon. And I love you all. Have a great, great life.